Hey everybody, welcome to the Post Point Podcast, our Anything and Everything podcast. I'm Braden.
I'm Steven.
I'm Troy.
And today we're going to be talking about the Olympics because we got the 2020 Summer Olympics coming up and we want to talk about some of the new sports that were added and why some of the sports are even in the Olympics. So, first of all, we'll start with rock climbing because that's the one I'm interested in. They added rock climbing to the Olympics, which it's going to be really cool, but the format they're using is weird in the sense that most rock climbers are good at one division or maybe two, but with the Olympics they made it all around. So you have sport climbing, which is like you climb the route and put the rope in as you go. You have bouldering, which you don't use a rope for, and then you have speed climbing, which throws pretty much everybody up because like not many speed climbers do other types of climbing.
Yeah, what strikes me as weird is that, I mean, I'm very amateur in the game of rock climbing, but I do follow it because I'm a fan. Typically, when you see people that rock climb regularly, they're not like a master of all three of those styles. Nobody's walking around like, yeah, I got this. I'm going into the Olympics. But I guess that's probably the point.
Yeah.
There's a bit of an exclusivity to it this way.
It's like becoming a real world champion, you know, like you're good at all of these.
Which, you know, arguably, yeah, like when they do get that going, whoever takes the gold is going to look really awesome in my eyes. To be able
Or
to
just
do that.
did not die on the way up. It's also a totally applicable thing.
There's just like bodies piling up next to the mountains.
Yeah, they didn't even use ropes. They were just trying to break the speed record. Yeah, and then how they're scoring it is they're going to do a multiplication of the three divisions. So if I take a first place, and then I take a fifth place, and you take the first place, but you took a 15th before, then they're going to multiply 1 times 5, and then if I take a 6th place, they'll multiply that times 6. So like your score could end up being like 300 if you know you take 100 and
That's
then
going to get really weird.
Yeah.
It's a lot of math.
It's going to take golfing's place for the most complicated score system.
Yeah,
Right
which
off the
with how
top.
they do archery, it's based off of first score and then shoot-off score. So like if you take a first in the qualifying and then you take a fifth, they just add them. So you take a sixth. Well, they add them and then divide them by 2, so you take 3.
You lost me like a long time
It's
ago.
really
Why does this have to become this?
it's all addition instead of multiplication.
Why
which is
can't
really
we just
weird.
be like,
you're the best?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of sports. They added surfing, which is going to be really cool. How do you judge surfing? I mean,
Is this for sure the list of what's coming?
Yeah, this is in 2020. All of the confirmed ones that are going to be at the Tokyo Games.
So it's so weird. I feel like 50 years down the line, I feel like the Olympics is just trying to constantly expand. So I feel like 50 years down the line, they'll be like competitive knitting, and like people will be like going at it and just trying to do their best. I don't know. Some of these, far be it for me to be the decider, but some of these feel like they're a little bit more legitimate than others, you know.
Yeah.
But some of them, I'm always excited to see, and I'm a really big fan of judo specifically, and I'm just like, oh, that's so cool to like conceptualize that, like just people going at it. That would be really awesome. And it almost feels a little special when we look at the martial arts categories and that it's taking place in Tokyo. It feels a little bit more like the best, the cream of the crop are going to come rolling in for this, and it's going to be really amazing. How are they going to do surfing?
Well, I'm not
I'm sure they have some kind of like indoor simulator.
Yeah, because they actually make it's like called train wave or something, and they no joke took like a train, put it on tracks in the water, and then run it through the water, and it makes a perfect wave every time.
Or, well, they put you on like a surfboard that's on a machine, and they just throw buckets of water into it. And if you can stay up, you win.
It's like it's like riding a bull, but they're like, no, you're just on a surfboard.
Yeah.
I would be okay if the Olympics took a little more dramatic route and they just gave us a cut of everyone being helicoptered to like Hawaii or something, and they just drop them all in the water and they're like, surf.
Just surf.
They say each heat will last 20 to 25 minutes, and it's a 2-person gender per nation. So we're only entering 2 guys and 2 women as our competitors.
I feel like that's acceptable though. You know,
Yeah,
it's like
I mean, a lot of things. I guess I don't know how exactly it's. There's a max of how many you can enter, but like certain sports you can enter up to like 5, and then if they don't make it through qualifying, or if they do, depending on that.
well, I feel like that's, you know, because there's teams, and then
Yeah,
for some sports
like-
there's just way more recognition.
Like up here it
Yeah.
says
You to have-
fencing is a 6-team event.
because I think it's the Olympics that pays for a lot of these people to get out there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Right,
There's a
so
whole...
you have to set a budget for every sport. And
Yeah.
I assume that also factors into it, like how many people from every country can we get out here?
A lot of it's nationwide though, like.
Yeah, this is a bit of a darker note considering we're like feel like we're having a good time, but the Olympics is actually, let me just come in and ruin this, but the Olympics is actually really infamous for a lot of athletes that go in there and it destroys their lives because they come in like if Troy goes out there and Troy wants to be a competitive rower and he goes into rowing and he does his best and he just doesn't take home the gold. So much money went into making you like ready to be a competitive rower, so much time, such an investment on yourself, such a strain on your physical body, on your emotions, on your family who's supporting you, if at all you have support. And if you don't take home the gold, even the silver isn't always as good. And if you don't take home something like that's quantifiable evidence that you've succeeded, everything else falls apart because you don't get paid to go to the Olympics. The pay theoretically comes from the endorsements and stuff that would follow.
You get paid to be on the Olympic team though.
Yeah,
so like for archery, you get paid $3,000 a month for the year you're on it.
In the grand scheme of
which isn't much, but I mean,
I guess it probably compares like sport to sport, but for some of these sports, you put in way more money than that. Just training.
Yeah, definitely.
And to not succeed, I remember reading some articles of just famous like names that just after the Olympics they fell off the face of the earth because there was nothing left for them. It's kind of tragic.
I mean, even Shaun White snowboarding, because he won in let's see, he's won 3. So the first one he went to was, I can't think of the first one. The second one was Toronto, and he said after he won his first gold medal, like so many people, because he was young, he was only like 19 or 20 or something, and people were like, oh, he's just a one-time, like he can't do it again. So then he went to Canada and won a second one, and people were like, oh, okay, he's all right. And then like they still gave him crap. And then after he lost in Russia, he was like, everybody was like, oh, it's fine, like you were such a good rider, and people like he had better support after he lost than winning 2 gold medals in a row.
Imagine a concept like the Olympics that's theoretically supposed to take just the best of our different athletic competitions, putting them together. Somebody rises to the top, cream of the crop, and somebody's just like, I'm not impressed.
Yeah,
you're gonna need to do a little more than that to get my favor. Like that's asinine to me. The Olympics, I'm not a big fan of a lot of the practices behind it, but I'm not gonna lie, every time it's on I tend to catch it because it's still entertaining.
What they did this year though is they added a lot of mixed teams, so like in archery and table tennis and I saw another one, I think fencing has it, but they added mixed teams, so you'll have a guy, and in shooting sports they added it as well, you'll have a guy and a girl competing together as a team. Because like in archery you have 3 shooters together that are usually all the same gender, but then now they added mixed teams to the Olympics, which means you'll have guy and girl competing against guy and girl, which I thought was cool. They added it to like table tennis and a lot of these like other
competitive edge of table tennis.
They added it to a lot of other sports, which is cool. What is your opinions on sports that have been taken out of the Olympics?
Alrighty, so I'm about to lay down, smack down. Wrestling is not on this list, and it makes me really, really angry.
Yeah.
Right? I did it for 7 years. I wrestled for 7 years, and it was both the worst and best 7 years of my life. And it is such a skill-based sport. Like, you can be as strong as you want, but if someone has more skill than you in moves and takedowns and pins, they'll beat you 9 out of 10 times. And I know wrestling was removed in 2013. I was reading somewhere that it was added on, but I'm not seeing it on the list. And I don't know why they removed it. And I think it should be on this list. I feel like wrestling deserves to be an Olympic sport because it just requires so much physical prowess and so much training to properly get the skills down. And then every person who wrestles has like their own like way of moving and their own way of using the moves to their advantage. Like every person who goes out there and wrestles does something just a little different from the others. And I feel like since sports like judo and karate are up there, that wrestling is also a fighting sport. But instead of, you're not hitting anyone, not to say that any of these sports already on there that are fighting are any lesser, but like you're not allowed to hit people in wrestling. It's purely based on your ability to take them down.
And this is obviously we're looking into the details right now to find out a bit more of what actually led up to this, but if I had to give my own opinion on it, and we'll see how close I can line up with that, I think wrestling, which let me preface, I actually really love. I'm a big fan. My father instilled the love of it into me. But I think wrestling as a whole has a big negative stigma attached to it in its performance and its practice. I think someone can be a seasoned wrestler that has done this like their entire life, and people will still look down upon them, and they won't recognize the athleticism behind it, because things like the WWE is like this prominent thing, and people tie it to this melodramatic soap opera of an event, which it is, but at the same time, there's still a lot of athleticism showcased in that in and of itself. And we take it back to the actual practice of your actual traditional wrestling that was in the Olympics. And that's far and away from what people would see when they would tune into an episode of WWE. Yeah. So I think it comes to a lot of ignorance and understanding on the part of the layman in and of itself. I think that would theoretically, maybe because of that, the wrestling event wasn't getting as much attention, and maybe the Olympics saw that and they were like, okay, that's not getting us as much, garnering as much attention, so we're gonna restructure and try something else. Is that close?
You're pretty spot on. They actually said that wrestling has been in the Olympics since 700 BC, and they went on TV views and realized that wrestling gets no views. So to add new sports, you have to remove old sports. So they said that the Olympic Committee was going to bring it back, but it was not confirmed for 2020. And they brought back baseball and softball were removed in 2012, and they already brought those back.
Table tennis is on there.
You know what's terrible is that people that watch this are gonna think that I pre-planned this, that I already had this information. When in reality, you both know I just threw this together at the last second. And I just want to say I'm really proud that I predicted it like that. Honestly, though, I don't think it's a hard prediction. I think any kind of service we're thinking of, any kind of thing in entertainment or media, caters to the people. And if, regardless of how prestigious wrestling is, that it's an old sport. Oh my, it is a very old sport. Nobody cares if it's not garnering views, and they would rather put table tennis on there if people are watching table tennis. Which is kind of watching table tennis.
It's kind of fun to watch though. Like they're so good. Like I'm like I go to a hotel and they're like I play table tennis. I'm all of the views. They're just going hard. I'm like I wish I could do that.
They're just catering to Braden. They're like, oh, that guy, he watches table tennis. He's won more than the zero watching wrestling.
Okay, but canoe and kayaking, I don't watch that.
That takes some skill.
Okay, I haven't watched that, but I think it would be entertaining to watch. I think it would be really cool, depending on how it's set up. A lot of these water ones, in my head, I just can't conceptualize how they're going to do this to make it realistic enough. Yeah. Even what you mentioned with the surfing, I'm like, okay, but part of the thing about surfing is the inconsistency of the waves. Yeah. And I think that plays into the performance.
They did a demo kind of test with surfing, and they used real wakes. It was like a not jamboree, but a scrimmage style of the event to see if it would be good for the Olympics.
Right.
And they just used normal waves in Hawaii or off some coastal beach, and that's why you get 25 minutes. It's because you have to wait for that right wave. So it's going to take forever, and I guess that would be why they only allow 2 people per gender, because if you have a team of 6, you know how long it's going to take. So
you want to surf better next year.
Yeah, so I guess that's why they give you, let's say, 25 minutes, and the best however many times you get up is what they judge you off of. I'm not quite sure, but
yeah, I'm curious.
It'll be interesting.
I'm curious if it's going to be a measure of how long you're up there. Are you doing anything stylistically while you're up there? I think that would be interesting. Let's go through a little bit more of these. Oh no, skateboarding.
They added skateboarding, which I'm hoping.
That would be pretty cool.
Because Shaun White,
I don't know if it takes skill and it probably takes athleticism, but I don't know if it's among those Olympic sports. Because
I think it could get there.
Yeah.
But there's been so much progress in skateboarding over the years. Look at Tony Hawk. He still skateboards and he's 49.
Forgive me if I'm wrong, but doesn't skateboarding have kind of its own version of the Olympics? Isn't there the X Games?
X Games. They have it every year. And they actually have 2 now. They'll do Sydney in the summer, and then they'll do winter in Aspen at the same time now. So they can do both because it's summer in Australia.
So comparatively, wrestling, they're nobody's watching this. Skateboarding, they're so popular,
very popular,
that they're X Games twice a year. Also in the Olympics. Know what else? Check out my YouTube channel, skateboarding every day. It's interesting. Because we walk around, you talk to random people around the street. No, very rarely someone like, yo, man, skateboarding, watching it all day, every day. You see people skateboarding, but honestly, they feel like the minority in society. How often do you just see like a group of people skateboarding out and about? I don't see it very often.
Well, it's like a recreational thing, It's not something that people do constantly, or it's a mode of transportation.
But like, how can you say like it's like a recreational thing when there's these like people that are competing?
And they're like millionaires.
Like,
that's how
how can it? I mean, I guess it can be both, but like. I don't know. Maybe it has everything to do with where we live, but like I don't see skateboarding.
Yeah, we don't
happening
have.
a lot.
I guess it's because of weather. Like if you go down anywhere in
because
like
it rains forever.
yeah, if you go in California, there's so many skate parks around, and like even people like Shaun White is a snowboarder, but they're saying that he's gonna probably try. Can't quote me on this, but he's been practicing like every day to compete in skateboarding in the 2020 Olympics.
So, like,
which would be one of like 3 people to do summer and winter Olympics. Like nobody does that. So if he could transfer from snowboarding to skateboarding, which he's won 17 X Games medals, and like 8 of those are skateboarding, and the rest, I mean, I think he's over 17 now, but if you look at Winter X Games, it started in 89, or 98, sorry, and had 25,000 people attend, like just come watch, not even TV views, but then 2 years later it bumped up to 85,000. So think about how many people are going to watch those sports. That's just winter. That's a lot of people coming to the Olympics to watch skateboarding and surfing and all of that stuff.
All I know is the last time I went snowboarding, the mountain almost killed me. And so I know that that's really difficult.
Yeah, that, it happens.
I'm bad at all of those sports that require balance and coordination. Like I can't skateboard, I can't snowboard, I can't ice skate, I probably can't surf. Not gonna try. I know I don't have it in me. Pong's just there.
They added netball to the Olympics.
Netball.
Possible. Slow down.
Oh, okay.
It was about to get really bad.
I was like, netball?
That's where I draw the line.
Have you ever played netball? Or
Table tennis, okay, but netball, no.
No, have you ever seen netball? It would be like playing, like imagine a basketball hoop without a backboard, and you play with a smaller ball, but you can't travel or walk. You have to pass. But if somebody's taking a shot, you can't block them.
It sounds like really polite basketball.
So like I pass
it
to Steve and I'd be like, okay, here you go. And if you take a shot, I can't block on you. I just have to.
Excuse me, sir.
I have to let you take the shot. But if you get the rebound, then I just have to let you take another one.
It's
a weird
ridiculous.
game.
Yeah, it sounds like it'd be really boring to watch.
Motorboating and polo and tug of war were Olympic sports.
Tug of war? Why not tug of war? It's the simplest competition of the gods, man. You just pull. That's all you need.
Right, but there's so many variables.
It's the masterful ability of the biceps. You just gotta pull and you gotta hope for the best.
So we all know what Steven is about when it comes to sports is biceps.
Bowling.
Field hockey. Bowling
is to sports what Call of Duty is to video games. When someone tells me they're a gamer and they play Call of Duty, it's like if a bowler was like, I'm an athlete. I'm like, sure,
wow.
Man, okay. Handball. I know to some that sounds really dumb, but I actually really love handball.
I've seen a little bit of it.
Rugby's good. Rugby's tough.
Rugby, yeah. I'd rather see rugby than American football.
Synchronized swimming. That's where it's at right there. That's where it's at.
Volleyball. They have indoor and beach volleyball.
So volleyball is my favorite sport.
I love volleyball.
I love volleyball because it's one of the only sports I know of where I can spike the ball into your face and get a point.
Yeah, because you're taller.
I love that. Dude, I would play volleyball and I would just hang out at the front and just pop up. Boop,
Every time I went to the front, the tall kids would just beat me with the volleyball. So like, we're having 2 different reactions to this.
Quick volleyball
anecdote. This is the net right here, and you're on this side.
Quick volleyball anecdote. When I was in South Korea, I was on a volleyball team just for fun. Turns out it wasn't just for fun, and we were competing against other teams, like for something. One day I wake up, and we're competing in the national volleyball tournament against like a Korean team that's just trained their lives for this. And I'm just like, how do we get here? Like, what day is it? And it was insane. And of course we lost.
It's like
come on.
Forrest Gump moment.
It was weird. I was just in the gym playing volleyball for fun, and bam, there's an event. There are a lot of people. Korea loves volleyball. It was crazy. It was crazy. So yes, I love volleyball. Almost won a championship, no big deal.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go into the Olympics for volleyball.
Yeah.
So what are your...
Lacrosse got taken off?
Did it?
Lacrosse would be cool.
Previous?
Oh.
Lacrosse is a really cool sport, but I don't know if it's...
Rackets? Just rackets?
Just rackets.
What is rackets?
Not tennis,
No,
not table tennis, just rackets. Oh,
You hit
isn't
a-
that there's a name for it. It's called that sometimes.
Like
you hit
wall
like
ball?
shuttlecocks.
That, like
No.
badmintons?
Ah, am I confusing that with something else? Can you click on it? Yeah.
I did.
Rackets. Rackets, also known as
Rackets.
In case you didn't catch that.
Oh, it was an early form of racquetball. Okay.
Okay.
That's what I
That's
figured.
not what I thought it
1908. It's
I think I had it confused with something else.
they added
Squash.
squash into
Heck
the
yeah,
20.
man, squash.
What's squash?
When is golf getting into the Olympics? That's what I want to see. I love golf.
What?
I couldn't get the emotion together for that. I couldn't even sell myself on that.
I'm pretty sure
Oh, it's great.
it's
19.
so it was taken out of the Olympics then.
Yeah, that makes sense. to me.
Yeah.
Darn.
I
You're
love
telling
golf,
me
but
people
that's
weren't
not a-
tuning in for golf?
I mean,
I love golf.
At least you sold that.
all right. So how do you think the Olympics like help unite the nations? Because I know with like North and South Korea in the Winter Olympics.
Rather than fight wars, we fight each other in sports.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about having gladiator wars in the Olympics.
This is
So
how everything should be solved from now on. Every time we have
Like,
to solve
I'll
like
play
a large
you in
crisis,
netball.
we have an Olympic event. That would be amazing. This whole government shutdown we're dealing with right now. If Pelosi
this
just challenged
political-
Trump to just like
Table
she's just
tennis?
like, you, me, rackets. Let's go.
Holds up a volleyball to build or not to build.
And you know what? I think people would pay to see that. I think it'd be a lovely change of pace from what we get now. But uniting the nation stuff, I don't know. I'm a pessimist. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm not gonna be over here like they're doing something. Honestly, I think the Olympics, like a lot of the things that are supposed to be, hands across the world and everything, I think it, first of all, doesn't do that. I think sometimes it causes more problems than it solves.
yeah,
I think typically whenever a place is set up to be the spot for the Olympics, like the venue's chosen, everywhere like in that area suffers tremendously because they're not like, hey, we've chosen you, we're going to put money together. No, you guys better figure this out. That'd be like if you went home and your parents were like, hey, whole family's coming to visit, you got to clean by. Like,
That is
not exactly very fair.
Horrible.
There's Troy's Olympics. But it's not fair. It's not fair to the venues that get chosen. It's not fair to the athletes that compete.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, I mean, look at
in the bargaining for what? Some camaraderie? Do we
I
ever
feel
get to
like-
see results of that?
No, we don't. Maybe between some of the members, like the people, participating in the sports. But along with that, that's the issue. Some of these people go back to their home countries and are killed, or they're, dishonored because they didn't do well, or maybe they didn't get first, and that's what you were talking about earlier.
And yeah, that's another thing. How do we even know how the Olympics are viewed in these other countries and whatnot? Because I don't. Oh yes.
I
You're
don't
looking
know.
up the previous venues that are chosen from the Olympics. They just get abandoned.
like-
they don't get used for anything. Their infrastructure is just left to rot. So all that money and time spent wasted. Nothing ever comes from it after that event.
Oh, even Rio has already been abandoned.
Yep.
Like Rio was such a bad. I mean, Rio and Sochi were so bad for Olympics. Like the water was all polluted for all the swimming events, and nobody wanted to do that. And then Sochi, they had to make snow because it was 63 degrees out. Like the half pipe was like would go flat, and then it'd be like a bump, and then like go, and then it was awful. But yeah, there's so many. I can't find like an exact number, but Rio was already abandoned. Beijing 2008 was abandoned. Oh, that's so interesting.
It's interesting, yes, but it's also just deplorable. The
The
idea,
amount
Yes.
of resources wasted.
and it feels contradictory to the point that you were just trying to have us broach, that the Olympics is supposed to be building bridges
Berlin.
and whatnot, and all it does is drain the economy of wherever it's stationed at. It defames and ruins what 80% of the people competing, and then they pick up, they leave, and they don't clean up their mess.
leaving skeletons in their closet,
Like I went to Cortina, and there was a 1954 Olympics or 1956 Winter Olympics there, and I think population of Cortina is only 5,000 right now, and like they definitely were built around the Olympics back then, and then now it's like there was a archery world championship there, so they still host things, but you
It's
could
not
tell
as
they
well
just
used,
suffer.
yeah.
It's like the snow is so good in the winter, but unless you're there in the winter, they don't make money.
right?
And that's another one that's abandoned. Like we actually shot up, so like the downhill ski jumps they set up the finals course for archery on that hill. And the bleachers are all broken, and I mean that's one of them abandoned. But just in the last 20 years, there's probably 6 or 7 abandoned, which is crazy to think because that's billions of dollars. That's
just thrown into the wind.
I think Vancouver. I think they're making use of that one. Like I'm pretty sure they still use the venue.
I mean that's Canada.
But like, but like,
just write them off.
I don't even know. I think it depends on the country, obviously. I think when we have it in LA, that the venues will be used for something.
Oh,
but
for sure.
I don't think if you have it, in this like poor country that pretty much goes in debt just to make the venues, they're not going to use it. They're going to not be able to pay for it, and it's just a shame.
I think it's poor planning. I think there are a lot of ways that the Olympics could be made better and just work better. I think first of all, almost like sub-Olympics in between Olympics would be great. It would be great opportunities for the athletes that didn't do as well.
That's like the Panama
That way
Games.
their life isn't wasted. But like even and I know it sounds weird because we just talked about the X Games and how like I'm like there's 2 a year, that seems excessive. It sounds like there's enough, but I still feel like there isn't because so many people come through, go to the Olympics, do their best, nothing comes of it. And that's like the end of the road for them.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot we don't know about though that you really have to get into these sports to find out. Like snowboarding, they have the Dew Games, which is like a 3 or 4 tournament series that actually qualifies you for the Olympics. Technically, they're considered qualifiers. And archery has, in the U.S. we have 5 tournaments. In the world, they have a World Cup tour. I mean, baseball, you have the World Series, I guess, for USA team. I don't know what like. Because obviously the baseball team is just selected players. It's not like they don't practice together all 4 years. But there definitely is ways to play in the games before the Olympics. But
this was a total guess of something I just wanted to Google and see. And look at that. Look at these results. We have Olympians who committed suicide. Post-Olympic depression haunts the games winners and losers. These athletes have died while competing in the games.
Wow.
That's a big
How many
list.
names
120.
120 people that have committed suicide through the Olympics.
Temporary insanity, shooting himself. Like, this is
1, 2.
nasty stuff.
A lot of other
Go
countries.
Olympics.
Oh, no.
But yeah, it doesn't.
It's a long list, man.
I mean, even I haven't obviously shot in Olympics, but like just being on that world scale is so much pressure. Like, I can see why people would destroy their careers after this, just because there's so much to deal with. Not only your country, your family.
You mentioned to me the other day about how when you were competing, there was this idea that kind of relaxed you. That was like, okay, well, at least even if I fail, after that I can just like relax and enjoy myself.
Yeah.
I don't think they get that. I don't think that idea gets into their heads.
It's hard.
I think these guys go into this and this is all they have to hold on to.
It took me till I shot in the World Championship in Cortina to figure that out. Like, I'd go to these, like 2017, I traveled to 7 national tournaments, and like, if I didn't win, I was like, just like back to the hotel, pack up, go home. It was like I couldn't enjoy it. But once I was like in another country, and I'm like, I've made it to this level, I'm still better than a lot in the U.S., you know, than Troy, yeah. So it's like it's such a mental game that like you have to just accept it, I guess.
Would you say, and again, like you said, like yours is on a smaller scale, but just the same, would you say the competing and everything has had a bit of a negative effect on your psyche, your mental capacity?
Definitely. Like, I fought with depression a lot, just in the sense of like, if I don't do well, I'm like, that's what I rely on. Like, I rely on winning. And it sounds so bad, but like that's an athletic thing where like
I totally
people
get it,
just get in that mindset of
when I
like,
was,
I'm gonna go win this, and then you're like, well, I had a bad day.
When I was doing tournaments for wrestling and I was doing matches, you know, my dad would show up or it'd be my family, and I'd be like, I have to win, or they're not, you know, they're not gonna be happy with me. And you know, my dad was super into it, and you know, he's a very loving father. But for a long time,
Disclaimer,
he doesn't hate me now, but he for a long time I was like, he's not gonna love me if I don't win. You know, he's not gonna be happy with me when I get home if I don't do this right. And so you know, it took me a long time to realize, you know what, I'm just gonna go out there and have fun, and if I lose, I lose. that's what got me through it. Because when I first started wrestling, I didn't like it, and that's another thing too, is I'm sure some of these people go into these sports and into these Olympics because it's all they have. Like, not just I've been training for this for years, but because it's all they get in their life. Like, you are decided to do this. This is what you get to do.
It's definitely, like, I do a lot of sports, so, like, I can't necessarily say that, but archery is, like, what I depend on when it comes to, like, getting that victory, like, I'm gonna go do this, and I practice every day, and then I go do it, and either it works out or it doesn't, but, like, you have to get that mindset of, like, like, if I don't win, there's always the next one, kind of thing, and you can't win everything, but I feel like this list of Olympians, like, that's what they just couldn't
get their head around.
Yeah, they couldn't deal with it, or, like, or the pressure of the media, like, a lot of the time, if you are an Olympic athlete and you don't do well, then they're like, well, we'll put the limelight on him for sucking in the Olympics, not for winning the Olympics, So it's like that pressure could just be what causes it.
Yeah.
These stories are haunting.
Yeah, they show exactly.
Suicide after his daughter died of an infection, temporary insanity. Why are there so many bouts of temporary insanity?
It's a high pressure, high stress thing, and you lose after imagining yourself winning for so long that, like, you can't fathom the reality of losing. You just nothing makes sense for a little bit.
Honestly, even if that list was 80% smaller, I would still say it's too much.
Like, that's a big list.
And
obviously some of those are from, like, the early 1900s, but, like, that's still
any deaths, because it's sad to say, but mistakes happen in a sporting event. Things happen, but this many deaths from people doing it to themselves, from a organization and an idea that is supposed to bring our world together, is wrong on all kinds of levels. And this is proof that, to at least a certain degree, the Olympics aren't doing what they are supposed to do and have been corrupted in some form or another.
And yet this doesn't get discussed at all. I haven't seen anybody talking about how to improve the Olympics other than, hey, we're implementing new sports and stuff, which is all well and good on the aspect of entertainment. But like you said, I was gonna say that, like, anybody on this list would be too much, but there are always variabilities. I remember way back when I was a kid, there was that contestant on The Price is Right that shot themselves afterwards because they got the wrong. Yeah. I mean, people will do what they do, but 120 deaths all organized around a single event, all committing suicide. And we obviously don't have the time, but I bet none of these people won. I doubt anybody walked away from the Olympics and like, that was cool, now I'm ready to move on.
I mean, that might not necessarily be true, though. Like, winners' karma can be so much. Like, I've seen, I mean, obviously not, probably, let's say 2 to 3% of these might have been that. Like, that's just a number I'm throwing up. It wouldn't be 50%, but, sometimes people can't deal with the publications and the, like,
limelight on them.
The limelight on them, yeah.
The lack of privacy.
Yeah.
As well, you win the first time, people expect you to win a second time. They'll expect you to do better the next time. Whenever you do something really well and you do it again, they always expect everyone, no matter what you're doing, even if it's not a sport, they expect you to take it up a level. They expect you to bring it to a higher point than you did earlier. And,
Man, I wish we really had time to break these down. Committed suicide by gassing himself in his office while the balance of his mind was disturbed. Died from a fall from a balcony of a rehab clinic where he was treated for depression. Possibly he committed suicide. Who felt good adding that afterwards? They're like,
possibly.
Probably killed himself. Like, you think?
Yeah, it's just insane.
Man, I don't know. Like Troy basically just said, I have a hard time standing by the Olympics because of what they do. I think the idea, once again, I feel like we always come back when we have these delicate subjects. The idea in consideration when we're talking about it sounds amazing. It sounds super cool. I am down to watch that. I would love to be present at one day. That would probably be incredible.
Yeah.
But in its execution, it lacks so much consideration for before the Olympics, during, after.
Yeah, and
well, here's why. Here's why there's all this. It's because we've made rewards, and when you put a reward on anything that's supposed to be just fun and to bring people together, when you start putting rewards and these ideas of this makes you better, it ruins it. It destroys it at all levels. Like the fact that we have gold, silver, and bronze medals, and that's it. Like I think there's a fourth place. but that doesn't get anything.
Yeah, they don't get a podium or fame or anything.
Like
little participation ribbon. Little.
Right, we did the Olympics,
and you get.
And I say we as in like
the three of us. We caused this, guys.
This is our. No,
we need to fix this.
We have done this to ourselves by putting these values and these ideas of you are better than this person. Which in a competition, yes, technically that's true. You were more skillful and you did better. But it's like it's a next level. You're better than this other person.
Yeah, and you get. The winner for gold would get $25,000. Silver's $15,000, and bronze is $10,000. But like
monetary value.
That's not.
It's also taxed. Why?
That's not that much.
That seems like a weird thing
like,
to tax.
Obviously, that's enough to pay for travels and pay for maybe some gear. But like, that's not something to live on, and you just spent your whole career, life, last 4 years between Olympics doing this, and you only win. 25,000, which Michaela Schifrin was a downhill skier, and she won. She was a rookie, or not really a rookie, but she's really young into the sport, and first Olympics won 2 gold medals in Sochi, and or not Sochi. Where was the last one at? But yeah, so like she got money in the sense of sponsorships, which can build the person up. But like, if you don't have that like support behind you, then $10,000 for third is you're not gonna live on that.
Because 2 gold medals would barely cover you for a semester at some colleges in this area.
Yeah.
Like barely.
Yeah.
If not at all.
It's weird too, because it'd be one thing we're used to. Sad to say, we're used to this kind of thing in America. This concept, this competitive edge that drives people to suicide and stuff. That's part and parcel with our country. But the Olympics is an event that bridges continents and countries, and yet when we look back at that list, those were not all U.S. competitors.
No, there's not that many actually.
Humanity as a whole is competing in this, and they're people from multiple locations are driven to suicide through this. People from different cultures, walks of life are all coming into this one location.
They all feel the same.
And they all feel the same.
Yeah.
Which on the one hand is kind of an impressive thought.
Yeah.
That people can all be brought to the same position regardless of where they're from, a little nature versus nurture. But it's not a good it's not a good result.
Well, I think that's all we have for today. We'll try to wrap it up. That was a lot to discuss.
Got dark.
I mean, we got dark at the end, but the Olympics are just an insane event. It's like you can have all that fame, but then you can feel the suffrage from not winning or from winning. And I don't know. They're a select group of people.
This was supposed to be a fun discussion. This was supposed to be about this is what I want to see.
Halfway through, I legitimately was like, I'm going to make this dark. Why do I do this?
Why do I do this?
I do these things.
God.
So I hope you guys enjoyed the little bit of change that we had in this podcast.
Hope you guys didn't just all get instantly depressed in the midst of it.
We're destroying your Olympic dreams here.
Go Olympics.
But we'll be back next week. I hope you enjoyed the changes we made for this week's podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe down below. It really helps us out. And then check out all of our other social medias on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at the Puyallup Post. So thank you guys.